Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Last week, I talked about the lunch where several Pixar creators talked about their ideas. One of the ideas they talked about that day was interesting for many fans as it became one of their most beloved films. The story was simple. A young boy gets separated from his father and is taken miles away from home. It's up to his father to save him with the help of not many reliable friends. The film was a spark of many things, most notably audiences, critics, and the box office, grossing over $900 million, becoming the highest grossing film of the Pixar library until 2010. But how was this film? It's time to find out. This is Finding Nemo. Marlin, voiced by Albert Brooks, a clownfish, is overly cautious with his son, Nemo, voiced by Alexander Gold, who is faced with a foreshortened fin. When Nemo swims too close to the surface to prove himself, he is caught by a diver, and horrified, Marlin must set out to find him. A blue reef fish named Dory, voiced by Ellen DeGeneres, yes, that Ellen DeGeneres, who has really short memory, joins Marlin and complicates his journey with the encounters of sharks, jellyfish, and a host of ocean dangers. Meanwhile, Nemo plots his escape from a dentist's fish tank. So yeah, again, it's a basic story, so there's not too much to talk about. But what there is to talk about is how much advantage the filmmakers took when making this, because it became a beautiful story that everyone can remember and bond over with their family over, just like the likes of The Lion King. But what are my thoughts on the other attributes? Well, let's find out. Out of all of Pixar's protagonists, Nemo is one of the most relatable because he's a child. You understand he wants some independence, and you feel bad for him when his father doesn't want him to. But overall, he still loves his father, which brings us to Marlin. He may be overprotective, but he's still going on an adventure that could cost him his life just to find his son. As for Dory, she's just hilarious. Despite Ellen DeGeneres not being the greatest person, she still gives a hilarious performance as the blue tang with short-term memory loss. Then we have a whole bunch of side characters. The Tank Gang, composed of Gil, Peach, Bloat, Deb, Jacques, Bubbles, and Gurgle, are great. Like the circus bugs from A Bug's Life, they're just the hilarious comic relief that you love watching. Nigel is also great. Being voiced by the man who brought Barbossa to the big screen, Jeffrey Rush, he's always a character you're glad to see. Crush and the Sea Turtles are great, and they easily give one of the most iconic scenes of the movie, even getting their own roller coaster in the next few years. The Sharks, Bruce, Anchor, and Chum are just Aussie stereotypes, but they're just great to watch. As for villains, we don't really have any, unless you count that anglerfish from the one scene, the barracuda who has one moment in the very beginning, and the dentist who is more of a foil than anything else. I guess you could say the closest things to real antagonists are the seagulls and Darla, who is literally a psycho reference, even with the same music cue. But these characters are very memorable, and I can't really say anything else about them. Wait a second. There are two horror movie references in this movie. One for The Shining and one for Psycho. Maybe that's teasing out a future review of those movies. I digress. How is the animation? Well, after 19 years, it still holds up. The water looks almost real in some shots, the characters have great designs, and even the minor details look great. As for the music, Randy Newman's cousin, Thomas Newman, brings us the score this time around. It gives us a feeling of being underwater as well as a sense of danger, safeness, and even whimsy. So yeah, Finding Nemo is yet another one of Pixar's masterpieces. If you need to reconnect with a family member, then go ahead and watch this movie with them. I'm going to give it what it deserves, a 10 out of 10. This film is waiting for you somewhere beyond the sea. Well, that's it for this review. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the movie below and tune in next week when I take a look at The Incredibles. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.